Good morning, and welcome to a daily reading of Thriving in the Vine, presented by St. Elizabeth's Episcopal Church in Richmond Hill, Georgia. Thriving in the Vine is a compilation of daily reflections for Lent by the Episcopal Diocese of Georgia. My name is Vernon Lawless, and I will be reading the appointed scripture and reflection for today, the second Wednesday of Lent, March 3rd, 2021. The gospel reading for today is John chapter 5, verses 1 through 18. After this, there was a festival of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now in Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, there is a pool called in Hebrew Bethesda, which has 5 porticos. In these lay many invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I am making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me." Jesus said to him, "Stand up, take your mat, and walk." At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and began to walk. Now that day was a Sabbath, so the Jews said to the man who had been cured, "It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your mat." But he answered them, "The man who made me well said to me, 'Take up your mat and walk.'" They asked him, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Take it up and walk'?" And the man who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had disappeared in the crowd that was there. Later Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you have been made well. Do not sin anymore, so that nothing worse happens to you." The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well. Therefore the Jews started persecuting Jesus because he was doing such things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, "My Father is still working, and I also am working." For this reason, the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him, because he was not only breaking the Sabbath, but was also calling God his own Father, therefore making himself equal to God. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. The reflection for today is written by the Reverend Dwayne Varus, our very own rector at St. Elizabeth's of Hungary Episcopal Church in Richmond Hill, Georgia. Father Varus begins his reflection. The first time my daughters were placed into my arms on the respective days of their births, I recall feeling tremendous joy, yet that is an understatement. I also recall feeling some fear and reverence. Still, that does not capture my experience. Humility and gratitude were present, but more, I asked, how could I be trusted with such a precious and vulnerable life? I knew my sinful self. I've wrecked relationships, been dishonest, failed to care for the environment, given into pride and selfishness, lacked compassion, and so on. My doubt continued. Now I am expected to teach and mold and nurture and protect this child. I did not feel worthy of such a responsibility. We spend much of our lives proving our worthiness in our careers, in relationships, even at church. We may spend as much time judging the worthiness of others. How much tip does our restaurant server deserve? Does the applicant deserve the scholarship? Has a colleague earned my trust? This dynamic has value for maintaining social, economic, and political order. However, it is antithetical to God's unconditional and unmerited love, grace. It is curious the man in the gospel who received healing upon the word of Jesus shows no signs of gratitude or movement towards belief in Jesus and the good news. He proclaims, when questioned by Jesus, "Do you want to be made well?" the man offers complaints as to why he cannot be healed, instead of answering the question. In John's gospel account, seeing is believing. We learn the healed man did not know Jesus. because Jesus disappeared. That is, Jesus was out of the man's sight. Jesus reaches out to the man a second time and found him. The man's response was to turn away from Jesus and towards those who sought to bring harm to Jesus. Through the lens we use to judge the worthiness of ourselves and others, the man in the gospel did not deserve healing. It is suggested he neither wanted to be healed nor even desired to challenge his unbelief. Through the lens of the good news embodied by Jesus and made tangible through his life and work, God's unconditional and unmerited love is available to him because, as Jesus says, my Father is still working. God's creative and life-giving work begun at creation continues throughout our broken and undeserving lives. God is still loving us into being the image and likeness of God. Deserving or undeserving, each time we take the hand of a sister in sorrow or a brother in need, each time we share food with the hungry or shelter the homeless, each time we provide a book to a child who has none, or assist a single mom to earn her GED, each time we lift high the cross and not the sword, each time a baby is placed into our arms, God's unconditional and unmerited love is revealed. Thank you and have a blessed day.